Namaste yogis, welcome back to an hour of yin and yang. Tamal is going to be demonstrating for me today. You know what that means. I'm just kidding. Let's get started in child's pose. We'll start off sitting on the tops of the feet and the shins, big toes touch, knees can touch as well unless you prefer to open them a comfortable width apart. Arms can extend forward or down the sides of your body. Letting the forehead rest on the mat as you just begin to close your eyes. Just allowing the body to slowly settle. So the tops of your feet, maybe even the tops of your ankles, getting closer to the earth as the weight of your hips falls towards your heels. Notice if it's the forehead resting on the mat or maybe even the bridge of the nose. Take a quick scan of the shoulders, trying not to hold too much tightness or tension. Acknowledging your breath. Are you breathing in and out the nose? Where do you breathe to? And then we will just begin to mindfully change the breath. So let's start by first letting go of a nice long exhale. Just pushing out any dormant air you may be holding on to. And then take a deep inhale through the nose. Send that breath to the hook of your tailbone. Feel your ribs expand out horizontally. And then open up your mouth. Let's take another long, slow, deep inhale, filling from the bottom to the top. This time, hold your breath. Unless you're pregnant, you always want to keep breathing. And then open up your mouth. Take another long, slow, deep inhale through the nose, capping it off at the peak. And then this time, keeping the lips sealed, let's just go ahead and slowly exhale out the nose. And then just breathing in and out your nose as slowly and as deeply as you can. Finding that balanced breath. Nothing forced, but just trying to get every inhale and every exhale to match in length, duration, and quality. And once we've connected with the breath, let's begin to link the body into that. So with an inhale, begin to extend the arms long to the front of the mat, pressing into your palms, your elbows, your forearms even lift. Sink your hips back a little heavier. Take an inhale. As you exhale, lift your hips, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. So feel free to pedal out your feet, maybe come up and down on your toes a few times, whatever feels right to the body. Make sure you do take a quick look at the hands just to make sure they did jet straight out from the shoulders. Ideally, it's your index and middle finger that point straight forward. But if you're sensitive in the wrist, you're super tight in your shoulders, you can turn your hands a little further out. Then as you relax your head and neck, just look back at your feet, let them rest hips distance apart. Make your heels spin back and slightly out so they disappear behind your toes. And then even if you have to bend the knees, I want you to think of lifting your hip creases straight up to the sky, really lengthening the lower back. But make sure you knit the front ribs and even the sternum bone slightly in so you're not dumping into the upper back. Your goal is to accentuate the natural curves and convexes of your spine. Keep the height of your hips, but begin to play with pressing the tops of your thighs straight back to help anchor your heels down. And then keeping your head and neck relaxed, let's just consciously think about the hands. Can you lift just your fingertips up off the mat? So you ground down to the whole circumference of your palm, really focusing on the inner edge. And then as you spread your fingers wide, fan them into the mat, reach each knuckle, ending with your fingertips. Now as you press into the palms, hug your shoulder blades to the outer rib cage. That's called protraction. Wrapping your triceps back as you think of lifting the forearms forward. And then with an inhale, we will come forward, high plank or top of a push-up, just lowering your hips in line with the shoulders. Drive the heels back. Firm your thighs up towards the ceiling unless you need to drop to the knees for modification, use them. But let's keep the hips level with the shoulder blades and add the slightest tuck to the tailbone. Neutralize the lower back, pull the belly to the spine. Wrists, elbows, shoulders stacked. You want to push down so much into your hands that the natural reactions of the chest and the back of your head actually lift up. Shoulders glue down the back. Take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, downward dog, lift your hips up and back. Inhale, come forward, high plank. And then exhale, downward dog, let it go. Inhale, roll forward like a wave. And exhale, pulling back. Now let's inhale to high plank. If you need to drop to the knees, use them. I want you to lean your shoulders forward, jet them out over the fingertips. Pull the belly tight. Exhale, lower halfway down. Try not to go lower than your elbows. Hover, breathe. And then gently just release all the way to the mat. Release the tops of your feet down. Rest the center of your forehead down and actually reach your arms back towards your feet. Palms in the earth. That's going to help externally rotate that humerus. Now lift your right leg up just an inch up off the mat and try and stretch it a little further back, getting it longer than the left, and then set it down. Let's do the same thing the other side. Lift the left foot up just an inch, stretch it as far back as it'll go. Now as you press into the palms, I want you to begin to lift the head, the chunk of your chest, maybe 2 or 3 inches from the ground, peeling the shoulder blades down the back, maybe crawling your fingertips back, pulling the lower belly tight. And then slowly begin to lift the legs up off the mat and try and zip them together. Big toes touch, inner thighs spin towards the ceiling, tailbone draws to the space between your heels. So if this is enough, just stay here. Keep pressing into the palms, into your pelvis bone. If you want a little more, you might lift your hands up, reaching back, taking flight. Pull the belly in. Try to create more length. The more length you have, maybe inhale, lift everything a little higher. And then exhale, set everything down. Now on an inhale, lift the head, the chest, your arms, your legs up off the mat. Come straight back to it. If this is enough, stay here. If you want a little more, you're going to cactus your arms to the side of the room. Palms and forearms face the mat. Lower belly and front ribs pull in. Energize the legs. If you still want more, reach your arms straight out in front of you. Palms face each other. Locust pose. And then as if two people were playing tug-of-war in your body, how much space can you make? And then inhale, lift the arms and your legs a little higher. Exhale, reach your arms back. Let everything fall to the mat. Now plant your hands in line with your lower rib cage, wrists under elbows. Inhale, gentle cobra. Peel the head, the chest, press into the pubic bone, the tops of the feet. And then if you're feeling ready, inhale, upward facing dog. Press the arms straight to lift the thighs, the knees, the shins up off the mat by driving into the toes. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, roll over the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Now from downward dog, we'll piece together a vinyasa, breath per movement, back bend of your choice. Let's inhale, come forward, high plank. As you lean out, exhale, chaturanga, inhale, cobra or up dog, and then exhale, downward dog. Now from downward dog, let's inhale the right leg to the sky, flex to the heel. Keeping the right hip square to the ground for now. Don't let it roll open, but don't necessarily let it sag to the mat. And then with an exhale, let's pull the knee to your chest, shoulders land at your wrist. Inhale, lift the leg up and back. Exhale, pull the knee to the chest, glancing forward. Inhale, kick it to the sky, and just go on your own, breath per movement. Back and forth, every inhale initiating the lift to the sky, and every exhale pulling that leg towards your body. And then with an inhale, we'll extend the leg up. As you're ready, exhale, pull the knee to the chest, look forward, and gently step next to your right thumb. Keeping the back toes tucked, you're going to drop the back knee and reach your arms up towards the sky for a low lunge crescent. So the back toes tucked, just drive through the left heel. That'll help stabilize. Allow your hips to get very heavy, sinking forward, but at the same time, think of squeezing the inner thighs a little closer together. Tuck your tailbone down to lift the front of the pelvis up. Front ribs knit in and actually drop slightly down to lift the back ribs up off your kidneys. Wrap your triceps forward. Energize out through the fingertips. Now just make sure that front knee does stack directly over the ankle. And then we're going to drive into the left heel enough that that left knee hovers just maybe an inch up off the ground. Not very much. It's much less than we would want to lift it. But the leg muscles will turn on. The intensity builds, so make sure you check in with your breath. Soften the face. Take an inhale. As you exhale, left hand to the mat, we'll circle the right arm up to the sky and we'll twist. So now drive the left heel straight back behind your big toe. Left thigh bone lifts up towards the ceiling. And as you hug that outer right hip back, I also want you to think of sinking it slightly forward and down as if you're trying to get that right sit bone to touch your heel. Press into the left palm, roll your left shoulder blade down the back. Hug your front ribs in. The top arm can just reach towards the ceiling if you want to take it over your head, palm facing the mat. Breathe in whatever you decide to do. Take a deep inhale, reach the right arm up. And then exhale, release the right hand down. Pause. Let's lift that right leg to the sky, three-legged dog. Flex the foot, bend the knee and open your hip this time. Relax the head and neck, wrap that outer right shoulder down. And then with an exhale, let's pull the knee to the outer right arm or tricep, shoulder if you can get it there. Inhale, lift the leg up and back, open the hip. And exhale, pull the knee down and over to the left, find your twist. Inhale, lift and open it up. And exhale to the right. Inhale, stretch and open. And exhale to the left. So on your own like this, breath per movement, taking it to the right and to the left. Finding that external and internal rotation, but still following the breath. And then with your next inhale, we'll meet with that leg, lifting the hip opening. Exhale, pull the knee to your chest, look forward and step next to your right thumb. Turn your back heel down and make sure your back toes turn forward more than halfway so they point more to the front left-hand corner of your mat. And then inhale, rise up, warrior one, reaching straight up to the sky. So similar to crescent pose, but different. Front knee stacks at your ankle. The back foot is fully rooted into the mat. You really want to press down to the pinky-toed edge of your back foot. Inner left thigh spins back, tailbone draws down. The hips are working to square off to the front of the room, and from the hips to your fingertips, you should feel as if you're standing into Tadasana. Now let's take the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers. Inhale, pull the knuckles down the back of your left leg as you lift the spine up, maybe look up. And then exhale, gently fold inside your right leg if you can, if not, over the right thigh. But hugging the right hip in, make sure you square the hips off. Let the head fall heavy, almost as if you're trying to get the crown of your head to touch the mat next to the arch of your right foot. Ground down to the back foot. Pull the belly tight. Allow the hands to act as weights. They go up and eventually overhead, pulling you a little further. Breathe a little deeper. And then use the hands, pull them back to slowly lift your chest. Inhale, rise, reach up, look up. And then exhale, hands to the mat. Step your right foot back, chaturanga, as you're ready. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, we'll inhale the left leg to the sky. For now, the hip stays square to the ground, so we lead with the inner left thigh, keeping the outer left hip level with the right. And then exhale, pull the knee to your chest, shoulders land at your wrists, you look forward. Inhale, extend the leg up and back. Exhale, knee to chest. Inhale, kick it for the sky on your own, just coming through the middle each time. Use your core as you come forward. Make sure you don't bend your elbows. Just keep those arms straight and strong. Follow your breath. And then with an inhale, we'll extend the leg up. Together, exhale, pull the knee to the chest. Look forward so you can step next to the left thumb. We keep the back toes tucked, but drop the knee. Reach the arms straight up. So the right heel is pushing back. The hips are actively sinking forward, getting heavy, but the inner thighs are drawing closer together. The front of your pelvis is lifting, so you're not deeply creasing in the front of that left hip. Front body pulls in, arms are active even through the fingertips as if you're trying to touch the ceiling. Now that upward reach through the arms should help. We're just gonna lift that back knee up like an inch or less. Feel the legs turn on, they may even tremble or shake. Feel the heat cultivating. Make sure you connect with your breath. Take an inhale, just reach your arms a little higher. And then exhale, right hand to the mat, circle the left arm up to the sky, and we will twist. So the right heel pushes straight back behind your big toe, right thigh bone lifts up towards the ceiling more than you think you have to. Perfect 90-degree angle in that left leg. And as you press into the right palm, roll the right shoulder blade away from the ear. Lengthen your right ribs forward into that as you hug your front ribs in. The top arm is reaching up towards the ceiling or over your head. If it's doing that, the palm faces the mat, tricep hugs towards your face. Whether you look up towards the ceiling, to the side of the room, or down to the mat is up to you, but breathe. And then with an inhale, let's reach that left arm up, create more space. Exhale, left hand to the mat. We'll lift the front leg back up behind us, three-legged dog. This time, bend the knee and open your hip. Left heel pulls towards the bottom, but that left shoulder and rib wrap down towards the mat. Take an inhale. As you exhale, pull the knee high up your outer left arm, tricep or deltoid. Inhale, lift the leg and open the hip. Exhale, pull the knee down and over to the right. Inhale, stretch and open it up. On your own, to the left, to the right, side to side, breath per movement. Find that opening at the very top of the inhale with each breath. Make sure the shoulders land at your wrists as you come forward. And with your next inhale, we'll meet with the leg lifting, the hip opening. Exhale, pull the knee to your chest, look forward and step next to the left thumb. Now as the back heel turns down, heel to heel or wider, just make sure those back toes do turn forward more than halfway. And as you're ready, inhale, reach up, warrior one or Virabhadrasana. So front knee stacks at the ankle, even if it's not resting at 90 degrees. That inner left thigh is drawing forward as you wrap your inner right thigh back. And think of that back leg like a corkscrew. So as your inner right thigh wraps back, the outer right calf kind of wraps forward, grounding the pinky toe edge of your right foot. Tailbone descends down, the rest of your spine lifts, the arms are straight and strong. You're going to slowly release your hands behind you. Interlace your hands the weird way. It kind of feels like you're holding somebody else's hands. Pull the knuckle down to lift the spine up. Take an inhale. Exhale, humble warrior. Fold over or inside that left leg. Crown of the head falling towards the arch of your foot. Pushing your left shoulder into the inner left knee if you can to really hug that left hip back, as if you're trying to hook your left sit bone towards your inner right thigh. Ground down just as much into your back foot as you are into your front foot. Let the hands actively pull towards the ceiling, broadening the collarbones, but notice if your shoulders are just crunching at the base of your neck, can you actually roll them down the back a little bit? And then using the hands, pulling back to lift the chest, come up, reach up, take an inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back. Chaturanga is your exit. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, let's go ahead and inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, take a giant step, walk or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Now at the same flat back, inhale, Tadasana, circle your arms to the sky, maybe watch your palms kiss. And then exhale, pull the hands to heart center, Samasthiti. Sun A, inhale, arms fall before they rise. Exhale, forward fold, lead with your heart, hinge at the hips. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, plant the hands, step or jump back, Chaturanga. Inhale, brings your back bend, and exhale, guides downward dog. From downward dog, let's inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, reverse swan dive your arms to the sky, Tadasana. Exhale, hands to heart center. 2 more. Inhale, reach for the sun. Exhale, bow forward towards the earth. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, chaturanga. Finish this one off on your own and then do the last one as you're ready. So no rush, take your time. Follow your breath. If you forget something, don't stress about it, just go past it. Once you're finished with this next one, we will meet in downward facing dog. Now from downward dog, let's go ahead and inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back, and exhale, fold in. So big toes touch, heels separate just a little bit if they're not already. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Bend your knees, drop your hips, reach up. So the toes can lift, there's nothing wrong with that, but try and get the weight to push straight down into the middle of the feet. So the ball mounts, the heels are still evenly rooted. Draw the knees back so you can see your toes, and then as you work your knees together, it's very important you actually resist them apart so your knees do stack at the center of your ankles. Make your thighs heavy, and then your tailbone heavier. Draw the tailbone down, pull the belly in. Knit the front ribs in and think cobra up dog in the shoulders to help lift your arms and your glance. Look forward at least, eventually maybe even up. And then inhale, press up, grow as tall as you can. And then exhale, pull the hands to heart center, Samasthiti. Inhale, straight back into chair. Hips go low, arms reach high. Exhale, fold, chest to your knees, and then lift the hips up. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, chaturanga with stability, a back bend with strength, and downward dog with grace. Now let's inhale the right leg to the sky. As you exhale, knee to chest, step next to your right thumb. Stay on the back toes. Inhale, crescent pose, rise. So we've been here before, but if you want to work on straightening that back leg, the inner left thigh is going to draw back and up. Just make sure you don't ducktail in the tailbone. You want to keep the pelvis neutral, arms extend up. Now take an inhale. As you exhale, lower your chest halfway, reach your arms down and back, palms face the earth, think cobra up dog in the shoulders. Lean so far forward that the natural reaction is your back foot lifts up, warrior 3. Hug that outer right hip back, push your right thigh back. Flex the left heel and square off into the left hip. Pull the belly tight. Cobra up dog through the shoulders. Now I want you to bend your standing leg as deep as you can. Pull the belly off your thigh and reach your arms forward. It's generally easier to do it with your standing leg bent than with it straight. Now while you sit here in this bent knee warrior 3, I want you to premeditate warrior 1 and then very gently set the whole left foot down, reach up. Take an inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step to high plank and let's pause in high plank. Step the feet together. Kick your heels to the left, reach your right arm up to the sky. Vashisthasana, side plank. So stacking the feet if you can. If not, drop your left knee to the mat so it stacks under your hip. You could even stagger your top foot in front of the bottom foot, but lift the bottom hip up. Tilt your top hip forward. Pull your belly tight. Pushing into the left palm, roll your left shoulder blade down the back, and even think of protracting your shoulder blade here. And if you feel stable, maybe take your top arm up and overhead, palm facing the mat. Wrap that right tricep down towards your face. If you feel wobbly, look down at the mat. If you're feeling balanced, maybe look up underneath your right arm. Take an inhale, ever so gracefully. Exhale, chaturanga. Can you make that on one exhale? Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. Inhale the left leg to the sky. As you exhale, pull the knee to the chest, stepping next to the left thumb. Stay on the back toes. Inhale, crescent pose. We rise. So working from the ground up as always. Remember, the back knee can stay bent. You want the pelvis to remain neutral. That comes first and foremost. And then the inner thighs work away from each other. Think side splits or Hanuman asana. Knit the front ribs in and down. Take an inhale. Exhale, lower your chest halfway, reach your arms down and back, palms face the earth. Cobra, up dog in the shoulders. And don't propel, it's just a shift of weight. Lean forward so your back foot lifts up. You're trying to get the right heel and the crown of your head in one line, creating a capital T shape in the body. Your right hip squares off, the lower belly pulls in, stamping heavy into the ball mount of your left big toe, energetically kicking through the right heel. Now bend your standing leg as deep as you can. Pause, reach your arms forward, palms face each other. Make sure the back leg stays actively lifting, even though you are going to slowly set it down. Warrior one, reach up, look up, take an inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back, chaturanga, or yeah, high plank. And then we'll come to high plank. Step the feet together, kick your heels to the right, reach your left arm up to the sky. So dropping the right knee if you need it, staggering or stacking your feet, but as you lift the right hip up and tilt the top hip forward, sandwich the front and back of your body. So as you push your thighs, your belly, and your chest back, think of pushing your hamstrings, your butt, and your biospinal muscles forward. Sandwiching them together, pressing into the right palm, rolling the right shoulder blade down the back. And then maybe taking your top arm up and overhead, reaching for the front of the room, palm facing the mat. Breathe. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, chaturanga as you're ready. Inhale, find your back bend. And exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, let's go ahead and inhale the right leg to the sky. Bend the knee and open your hip. As you exhale, pull the knee to the chest, stepping in between the hands. Turn the back heel down, this time leading with your left arm, warrior two. Come on up. So your front heel lines up at the center of the back arch or back heel. And generally speaking, the stance can be a bit wider in warrior two than it is in warrior one. Front knee stacks at the ankle, push the knee out to the right. Spin the inner left thigh, that's in the back leg back. Draw the tailbone down, lower belly in, arms expand apart. Soften in the face. Maybe close your eyes. And then focusing over your front hand, blinking the eyes open, flip your right palm up, inhale, reach it up, reverse warrior. Keep your backhand light. Top arm straight as can be, up goes first, and then the backward reach will come when you let your right leg work its way forward, but then think of lifting your right hip bone up towards your right hand. Take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, cartwheel your hands to the mat. Step back, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. Very simple. Inhale, lift the left leg up, bend the knee and open your hip. Left heel pulls towards the bottom. As you bend the knee, draw the hip open. Then exhale, pull the knee to the chest, step in between the hands, turn the back heel down and fan open warrior two. Your Vajrasana B. So heel to heel or heel to arch. Back toes do need to angle slightly forward. At least 10 degrees. Inner thighs, even here, work away from each other. So inner left thigh draws forward, inner right thigh wraps back. Tailbone draws down, lower belly and front ribs pull in. As the arms expand apart, you can focus over your front hand. You can look to the side of the room, the direction of your chest, but wherever you go, close your eyes and just watch your breath. Just kind of allowing yourself to marinate within the pose. And even though the inner thighs are working away from each other, can you actively almost drag your 2 feet closer together? And then blinking the eyes open, flip the left palm up, inhale, reach up, reverse warrior. Keep that backhand light. Left leg still goes forward, left hip bone lifts up towards the hand to arch you back, belly pulls in. Take an inhale. Exhale, windmill the hands down, step back, lower slow. Chaturanga as you're ready, find your back bend, and we'll meet in downward dog. So from downward dog, let's go ahead and drop to the knees. Coming to all fours or tabletop, knees stacked directly under the hips, wrists directly under the shoulders. And I want you to take your right arm and actually just reach it forward as if you're reaching out to shake somebody's hand. Now take an inhale. As you exhale, you're going to actually reach back in between your legs and grab onto the inner edge of your right foot with that right hand. Let your right shoulder, the temple, the ear come towards the mat. So we're going to work more within the top edge of the shoulder. We do string the needle a lot to the side of the room, working that scapula away from the middle of the back. But now we're going to work on the side of the neck, the top of the trapezius, the levitator trapezius. If this is a lot in your neck, you can use that left hand to kind of prop yourself up, taking away some of the weight. If you want to extend the left arm forward, you can do that. But just breathe. We'll be here for about 90 seconds. We don't want to push too much stress within the cervical spine here. Try closing the eyes, feeling out, making sure the hips stay more or less over the knees. Try to create a little space between your jaw and between the eyebrows. Notice if you can breathe a little bit more into the right side of the neck. So almost as if every inhale was creating more space between the tip of your right shoulder, the tip of the deltoid, and the space just behind your ear. And then every exhale, just creating a softness within the pose. And then you're going to slowly slide the left hand back underneath your shoulder so you can press into your left palm, bring your right arm back out underneath your right shoulder, all fours. Reach your left arm forward in that handshake fashion. Then again, you're going to reach back and split it in between your legs, reaching for the arch of your left foot. So letting the left shoulder, the temple, the side of your head or ear come down. Right arm can be used as a prop. It can extend out in front of you. Hips more or less should stack with the knees. You close your eyes and you breathe. So remember, just be very mindful and no pinching, jarring sensations within the cervical spine. No sharp pains within the shoulder joint. You do want to feel those sensations of slight kind of discomfort or stress, right? But we always want to stay away from pain. And sometimes it's just a matter of learning the difference between the two, because there is a very fine line. Remember, every inhale creating that length and space in the left side of your neck, across the top of your shoulder. And every exhale, just allowing yourself to almost get a little heavier, creating a deeper opening. Take a few more breaths. And as you're ready, sliding that right hand back underneath you so you can press up, bringing the left arm back. So now you're going to just take your right foot and go ahead and step it to the outside edge of your right hand just because it's a little easier. And then maybe walk it inside your right hand. Bring both hands to the top of your right thigh and lift the chest. So if you have sensitive knees, you can put a bolster underneath the knee. You might even like to run it the length of your shin. You might just fold the edge of your mat under. You could fold a hand towel under and put it under your left patella. But allowing the hips to get very, very heavy as you press into your hands, leaning the shoulders back as much as comfortable, working into a slight compression within the lumbar spine. If you're on the more bendy side of things, you can also use 2 blocks, getting them a little further back, because the further back you lean your shoulders, the more you're going to compress into the lower back. And we say it a lot in power yoga because of structure. The front knee does stack at the ankle unless you want to work within that ankle joint. You can allow that right knee to actually shoot forward because that is part of our ankle's job, is to create that flexion. So wherever you find yourself, just try to sit with your breath. Close your eyes if you can, but again, this one tends to be a balancing challenge as well for a lot of people. So if you find yourself falling out of it or trying to catch your balance more often than not, keep your eyes open and just find a dristi, which means a focal point, something for your eyes to focus on, to help keep the mind focused, present, the body still. And the heavier the hips get, and the further your shoulders lean back, the more you will begin to feel it within the lumbar spine and even within the front of your left hip. So in yin, our low lunge is called the dragon pose. And there's 8 different variations. This is called dragon flying high, right? Because we're upright. It is a little bit more active than if we were to have our arms coming down to the mat. And it just is going after different parts in the body. Just breathe. We'll be in this one for about 3 minutes, which is the shorter side of things when it comes to yin. And back bending tends to be a bit more challenging than our forward folds. Whether that is physically or just mentally. So maybe you notice which it is for you, if the body is resisting it, or if it's more so coming from the mind. Just being okay with that. We have about 60 seconds left. But rather than counting that out, can you just begin to count out your breath? Try to get your inhale to be as long as you possibly can get it. And however long your inhale is, just be sure that your exhale is the same amount of time. And then very slowly, maybe just release the left hand down first and then the right hand inside your right foot. Take the right leg back to all fours. You could even circle out the left leg. Generally, that's the hip that feels it a little bit more. Replace the bolster, stepping your left foot forward. You can step it to the outside of your hand, but eventually do walk it to the inside of your left hand, just because too wide is going to be a little too wobbly as well. Bring both hands to the top of your thigh, and remember, as your hips sink forward, you're trying to push your shoulders back, leaning back, feeling a slight compression within your lumbar spine. If you want to shadow your knee over your toes to get into that front flexion of the ankle, be my guest. And if you have those two blocks and want to use them to put your hands on to lean further back, remember, it's all about how far you think you can take it, and then sit there for 3 minutes. All right, so sometimes doing less is more. If you get into this and then you have to come out of it because the intensity is too much, and then you go back and then you come out, you're defeating the purpose of what you're doing. Doing a little less and just sitting through it is always the better option. Closing the eyes if you can, but again, in this one, it's not a necessity. I'd rather you stay balanced rather than having to constantly fight and engage those muscles to stabilize. This is definitely more of a yang yin pose in the sense that we do have muscle activation that is necessary, but you want to be as yin about it as possible, so be as still as you can. Be as passive, physically and mentally, as you can. Be okay with doing less. And always staying away from the pain. Just allowing yourself to connect in with the breath. And that's really where we find that mind-body connection in our asana practice. Giving the mind something to focus on, especially as we sit still within these poses. And the breath nourishes the body, rejuvenates it, and it detoxifies it, flushing things out. So we have about 90 seconds left. And at this mark, generally, we either come to this place of just acceptance of where we're at and where we're going to be, or the mind is really beginning to struggle, trying to convince the body to come out. So if that's where you're at, try to press through that moment of discomfort. Breathe a little deeper. And in the last 60 seconds, sitting without anticipation, or at least trying. And very slowly you'll release the right hand down and then the left inside the foot, so you can take the leg back, maybe circling out that right knee, getting some fluid back into that front of your right hip. And then go ahead and sit your hips to the middle of your mat and open your legs out the length of your mat into a straddled split. So remember, straddled split by all means can be more of a V shape. If you're out wider, I do find it more comfortable for my body, especially if you're on hardwood, that the heels are on the mat and maybe the bottom is on the wood. Do you find your sit bones, so the lower back and your pelvis aren't rounding underneath you? And then let's go ahead and reach the arms forward. Take the Garudasana arm variation. So whether it's just grabbing opposite shoulders, you could bring your forearms up and twist through the wrists, palms meet, but your thumb should be pointing towards your face. And then ideally you have blocks or something. You're going to curl your spine, rounding it out, and then trying to let your forearms rest on something. And then let your head fall into the nest you've created with your arms. Soften into the feet. So you don't necessarily need to flex the toes and rotate them back. It is necessary for the proper stretch during our power yoga classes, but right now we're just trying to stress the joints of the hips. And everybody's femur bones insert differently into the hip socket. And so this can oftentimes be very telling of how your body was built or developed. If your feet flop forward, generally that means that the femur bone does actually sit a little bit more internally oriented. And if the feet flop back on their own, generally you're a little bit more externally oriented within the hips. Not one is better than the other, they're just different. But with that knowledge, it also gives you the power to really build your yoga practice in a way that will be beneficial to the body. And then beginning to just lift yourself up, rolling the spine up vertebrae by vertebrae. We're going to switch the cross in the arm. So gently untangle, cross the opposite arm underneath, grabbing opposite shoulders, but then rounding out the spine, letting your elbows, your forearms rest on something, and your head falling into the little shelf that the arms are creating. And closing your eyes. Reconnecting with the breath. That means we are halfway through this last pose. So make these last breaths count. And pulling the belly in, again, you'll slowly begin to just roll your spine up. Vertebrae by vertebrae coming up, gently untangling your arms. Take both hands underneath one leg, lift it up, and bring it to meet the opposite. And then sit the length of your mat. Bend the knees, grab your thighs, and just gently begin to roll your spine back, vertebrae by vertebrae. Savasana. And remember, you're more than welcome to always set this up. If you want props underneath the thighs, underneath the knees, under your spine. Your arms can really fall however, wherever, in whatever manner allows your arms, your shoulders, your chest to get really, really heavy. The eyelids close. Release your jaw, just let the tongue melt back towards the earth. Savasana is really the perfect symbol of the ultimate sense of release and letting go. If you think about it, Savasana, or the corpse pose, that place where in life we all know at some point or another the body will reach it. It is a place that we are forced to let go of not only this body, but everything that comes along with it. Whether it's everything we've worked our lives to achieve, family, friends. And so Savasana is really meant to be a place of practice, a place where we give ourselves permission to let go of all of that, even if it's just for a few moments. Learning how to detach. So let yourself rest by allowing yourself to really let go. The more and more you practice the asana, the poses here on the mat, over time you'll come to find that yoga is so much more, that yoga is a very deeply rooted spiritual practice. And unfortunately, within kind of the new agey yoga world that has developed here in the West, people decide who is spiritual by whether it's the clothes they wear, the crystals they hang around their neck, how many followers they have. They go for a certain look. I was once having a talk with my spiritual teacher, and he was explaining how that's like walking into a grocery store and being very attracted to a packaging of a particular thing on the shelf, right? And then you buy that, and when you open it, it's completely empty. So people tend to be very attracted to the garb of spirituality, the right clothes, malas, crystals, right? The certain look of something. But that's as far as they really get. And we have to understand that spirituality has nothing to do with the clothes we wear, what type of stone your mala beads are made out of, where you live. It really comes from inside. What you're working on. Are you actually searching out the questions of, well, who am I? If I'm not the body and I'm not the mind. Is there a God? Is there not a God? If there is, what is my position amongst it? What is my function? And then not just only asking those questions, but searching out the answers. Whether that is through reflection, studying sastras or holy scriptures of the world, searching somebody out who has found the answers, right? Finding a spiritual teacher. Because it's when we can begin to work within that we really find happiness. If not, we're just walking around as an empty vessel. But which direction we go is always up to us as the individual. Nobody can do it for you. So you can lay here in Savasana for however long you would like. Hopefully this is a message you take with you to work with on and off the mat. If and when you're ready to get up, just make sure you do so slowly for your own benefit. But on that note, namaste. Thank you all for coming and practicing with me today.